Hello, my friends. Oh my goodness. Welcome to Doing Life Together, episode 17. And tonight I am so excited to welcome Penny Wood, affectionately known as Dr. Zoolittle. And so, Penny, let me get you on Instagram here just a quick second.
Thanks, Sonia. So nice to have the chance to chat animals with you.
I cannot even wait. And I know everyone is just going to love you to pieces and all of the information you bring. So I sent you an invite to join. Can you see if you got that?
That's just coming up now.
Hi, Janet. Good to see you all. Oh my goodness. Hi, Sharon. Awesome. Okay, welcome everybody. So thank you for your patience here with all my tech knowledge. As you know, doing life together, I'm not always bringing, I haven't been bringing people on, but I think this is so super fun. All right, Penny, is it working for you? Do I need to do it again?
I think maybe let's try that one more time.
Okay, let me just, Dr. Zoolittle. I love that. Isn't that so fun? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, while Penny is looking for that, and hopefully it says you're invited. Let me see. Hopefully it is. Otherwise, we'll just roll because we are live on Facebook and YouTube here. Unable to join. Why are you unable to join? It says you are. All right. It's going to be worth the wait. I promise you guys, this is so good. Zoom, I'll invite again. Awesome. Yes, and I think that we've got Penny on here on Facebook and YouTube. We're just trying to get her on Instagram. But while I'm waiting, I'm just going to officially introduce you all. So Penny is a zoologist and animal health coach. And she helps pet parents, like so many of us, extend the lifespan and the health span of our animals. She draws from the science of natural therapies and functional and regenerative medicine. She teaches you how you can stop inadvertently shortening your pet's life and shows you rather how to protect them and help them protect them from age-related diseases. And she has this awesome 7-pillar framework. So that is what we've got. Okay, let's see. I see you're watching it. Let me just see if I can bring you on. Add as a moderator, and we're going to see if that works. This is my first time doing this on Instagram, y'all. So thank you for your. Okay, and I'm picking up sound on your.
I'm just getting rid of that for you.
Oh, and let's see here. Okay. All right. Well, you know what, Penny? Let's do this. It's not going to be quite as fun for my Instagram followers, but they will still hear you. They just won't see you. So what I'm going to do is we'll just go ahead and jump in because it still didn't work on Instagram, right?
Yeah, I'm not having much luck with that. I can see you great. You look fab.
All right. Okay. So what we'll do is Instagram friends. Hi, Jenna. So good to see you. Okay. Can you hear Penny based on my computer sound? Is it picking it up for y'all? Can you tell me in the chat? All right. I think it should be. Okay, Penny. Well, sorry for the tech issues. I thought that was going to go super slick, but Instagram's not working on that, bringing you on board. So, oh, a moderator can't be in a live video. Now it says that. All right. Well, anyway. Okay. Really would be far more fun if we could get that to work. Okay. Well, Penny, thank you for your patience with that.
I think I might be in on the Instagram as well. So tell me if I'm coming through on both sounds.
Getting an echo. Can you mute your laptop, Penny, and see if not your screen, but just your. Thank you for
Okay.
It's going to be so worth it. I promise you all. Okay. So look at us. Whoa, Penny, look at this. Neither of us have done the Instagram two people thing. So thanks for it's just going to be so worth it. Now, for all y'all on YouTube and Facebook, can you still hear me? Give me a thumbs up. I don't think we're good on Instagram. All right. Okay. So we should have hopped on maybe 5 minutes earlier to work that all out. But here we are. Hey, thank you, Kat. Oh, lots of feedback still, Tracy, even after that. Is it better on Facebook and YouTube now? All right, we're gonna. Okay, so I'm gonna watch for your comments, y'all, and let me know if there's feedback there. If so, we'll just have to take off one of them. But thank you for watching. This is gonna be so fun. All right, lots of feedback. Okay, well let's give this a shot. So, Penny, I loved when we met. First of all, it was kind of an instant connection, just adored you.
It really was.
And so a couple things, those of you who are watching and part of doing life together, you know that I love animals. If you follow me on Instagram, you see my chickens and my oryx and my puppy and all the things. And you also know I'm crazy about wellness. When I started talking with Penny and she began sharing the 7 pillars for pets and how they also, by the way, apply to us as humans, I was like, oh my goodness, Penny, you need to come and talk with my people. They're going to love you so much. So for all of you who have fur babies, I love that Penny is like pulling serious science to help seriously, dramatically increase their lifespan and their health span as they go. And, you know, if you've watched Doing Life Together, I always talk about being your own advocate, do your research. Well, for our fur babies, we are their voice. We are their advocate. And so just knowing a few things can be so powerful. So Penny, take it away. I'm going to try to separate my phone from my computer and see if that helps on the feedback. Okay, go ahead, Penny. Share all the things. We're going to try this.
Yeah, there's a lot to put into a chat, but here's the overview. And this is where I want to start all the time with talking with people, that there's actually so much hope in this message. There's so much so much control that a pet parent has. So when we adopt and bring a cat or dog or anyone into our life, for that matter, as our pets, we're doing that for a reason. We're doing that from love. We're doing that because we want to welcome them in. We want them to be part of our lives. We love animals. We want that friendship. Whatever it is, they become family. And the downside to that is we know already from day one that their lifespan is shorter than our lifespan. That's a tragedy that we have to reconcile with and just say, I know that hit is going to come at some point, but look at all this time that we're going to have to grow that family, to be enjoying each other for their whole life. What if we could actually have that time span significantly longer? Because the tragedy of modern pet care, modern pet lifestyles, is that we, as their pet parents, have accidentally, completely unwillingly, we did not do this on purpose, but we have accidentally eroded their natural lifespan down to, for dogs, an average of 10.5 years. Now, you only have to go back to the 1970s to realize the average lifespan for golden retrievers then was 17 or 18 years old. And we never think now of as a golden retriever as the poster child for a long living dog, right? So it's just one generation where things were kind of looking a lot sunnier for our pets than they are now. So what have we done to inadvertently erode that and give them, on average, the other horrendous statistic is 1 in 2 dogs is going to be diagnosed with cancer. That doesn't necessarily, thank heavens, mean that they're going to die from that, but they're going to be diagnosed with cancer. 1 in 2. Now, that never used to be the case. So what can we do to make sure that that's not a high probability anymore. It doesn't mean that we can guarantee it doesn't happen, but what can we do to make that risk as tiny as possible? And not just for cancer, but for all the other lifestyle, degenerative, aging kind of diseases, because we've gotten used to model of you have this magical youth and everything's fantastic, the biology works just great, tickety boo, right? And then as you get older, things start to decline, diseases start to kick in, and you have this sort of old age declining. And you ask a person, the average person on the street, would you like to live to 150? And they say, heck no, because I don't want to live old. But if you say, do you want to live the way you feel in your 30s for an extra 40 years, take from 80 to 120 years old, the people are like, yeah, I'll be in on that. So that's what we're talking about, is extending the healthy, happy lifespan to its full biological limits without that decline. So it sounds too good to be true, but longevity science is showing that this is possible. You're still muted if you were wanting to chat with me.
So
I'm muting so I avoid the background noise. So I'm going to let you jump into, I loved what we talked about when we were together about all the little details, their natural diet that they would eat in the wild, their chemical load, just like us as humans. I just say take it away, but I'm going to mute just to limit feedback because I think it's causing a problem.
Yeah, for sure. So the other good piece of news in all of this, because there was a piece of bad news there, right? The good news is they don't have to have this short lifespan. The bad news is they currently are having that, right? How do we change that? We as the deciders, the decision makers for the lifestyle that the animal has, we have around about 80% control. It may be a little bit higher than that even, but genetics are going to govern around about 20% of how long an animal lives for and how many diseases they do or don't get. 20%. 80% of that is governed by the choices that we make. What lifestyle do they have? What food do they have? When do they eat? How often do they eat? What type of water do they have? What exercise do they have? What kind of preventative health care are we doing? Are we looking after their mental health? Have we made sure their hormones are balanced? It feels like a lot of things, but when you break that down, there's 7 key facets or key pillars that will have a synergistic effect if you use them all together. Each one will have a positive effect by itself, but of course, when you start having a multiplication effect, your results are going to be significantly larger. And the reason for that is because your biology is not segmented into sections. Your head is not separate and not attached to the. So if you're dealing with a mental health problem, for example, or a behavioral problem or a mood problem, which we might think is sort of here, we actually want to look at the entire body and say, well, what's happening in the gut? Because a lot of the neurotransmitters and brain hormones and chemicals are actually made in the gut system, transported up on the gut-brain axis to the brain, where you takes the message and actually puts it into action, either a feeling or a behavior. So if we're just looking at the head in isolation from what's going on here, we're not going to solve the problem properly. The whole principle behind the 7 pillars that I work with is, well, twofold. One, it's taking the wisdom of what wild animals are doing, because wild animals do not typically suffer from these same diseases that our pets do. They are looking after themselves, making decisions, having autonomy over their own life based on what they know is right for them. And when we bring a pet into our world, we say, hey, we're a human. I've got a really big brain. I know what's right for you. I'll look after you the way I would look after a human. And I'm sorry, guys, to break it to you, but animals are not little furry humans. They are their own species with their own biology and a different set of needs and requirements. And until you know how to fulfill those needs to the optimum level, your poor dog or cat is not going to be able to live at the optimum level. And the analogy that I like to describe is like, if you have a premium car, if you have a luxury car, a high performance car, and you put in regular petrol, you're not going to get the performance out of that vehicle that vehicle was designed to have. Now, every single animal can be seen as this premium high performance vehicle, because if they weren't already finely tuned biologically, they wouldn't have survived the evolutionary race of adapting to their environment and being able to survive. So they're already this perfectly designed machine, if you want to put it that way. So let's give them the type of input into their body, into their environment, that's going to allow them to perform at that level and live to that period of time. So to make it simple, because there's an awful lot of information out there, there are 7 key pillars that I like to teach people. And the nice thing about this is you're already doing it. You just are probably doing it more at the conventional wisdom level than at this gold standard level. And that makes a really big difference. So, for example, nutrition. You can't escape feeding as having a big influence on your health. We all know that for our own biology. So when a dog or cat is being fed a bowl of kibble as their daily diet, usually every single day without much variety, this is the lowest grade option possible for feeding your pet. And I'm sorry to break it to you guys, but it doesn't matter if it's prescription this or vet approved or whatever. Your dog or cat is a carnivore. Biologically, zoologically, they're a carnivore. They have very little requirement for carbohydrates. And a kibble by nature is minimum 45% carbohydrate just simply to make it into a biscuit. So that's 45% minimum of that bowl of food that is completely redundant to your pet. They're bulking up on effectively candy, but they're not getting nutrition. So you have pets that are really well fed, but they're starving on the inside. Their cells cannot work properly. They are not optimizing at that level. So we want to take you from this standard of what we think as a human is a really good thing to do because it's convenient and blah, blah, blah. But what is the best thing biologically for a carnivore? Well, let's look at what the wild animals are doing because they're the ones who are getting it right and not already having those diseases. It's wild, raw, species-appropriate food. Humans are the only people who cook their food. No animal cooks their food. They will scavenge if there's cooked food lying around, sure, but they don't sit around a campfire and go, hey, that sausage is nearly done, or, this steak is, right? They just eat it raw. Their biology from tip to tail is designed for raw meat. So when we give them raw meat, it's the same as us putting that premium super fuel into that premium supercar and getting enormous performance. When we do that for our animals and give them real food, now their cells are energized, they're nourished properly, they can replicate, they can get rid of the old cells, you can have new for old, you can have, the list goes on and on. But things are now working properly. So food, you cannot escape it. Do you want to jump in with any kind of feedback there, or should I just jump into a faster, now that we've sort of dissected one, introduction to the other 7?
Yeah, just keep rolling just for sound reasons. Otherwise, I'd be interacting more, but I'm like, I think my stuff.
Yeah, sure. So nutrition will encompass the food. It will encompass water because that's critically important. It also encompasses supplements. And the reason we say supplements is because unfortunately our food now doesn't have the same nutritional value that it had even one generation ago. So you'll often hear about how an apple only has about 40% of its nutritional value from the 1950s. And that's true because the soils are depleted from their minerals and things like that. So food will be the food itself. It'll be water, which is critically important. I have a whole section that I teach on water because it's way more fascinating and powerful in terms of health and longevity than most people would ever think, and then supplements. So that's pillar number 1. Pillar number 2 is detoxification. So you've got to put things in, but you've also got to take things out. And the body is really good at taking things out. We have 6 detox pathways in the body. And when I say we do, our pets and our biology is very, very similar. So the longevity principles that I talk about are specifically for your pet. I've tailored it to be for a cat or for a dog, but the underlying foundational principle is the same. So we have kidneys and we have our liver and we have breathing and we have our skin and we have sweat and these are detox. This is getting out of the body the waste products that we don't need, the chemicals that might have been contaminating the food that we've just eaten. So unless we get all of the junk out, some of it's being stored. It's like bin night at your house. You want to take the bin out, the trash out and put it out on the street. You don't want to leave half of it in the house thinking, oh, well, I'll save that for next week. No, you want it all gone. So it's the same with your body. You want to get it all gone. Right now, we live in a very contaminated world. These organs used to be just fine at getting rid of everything, but they're not anymore. There's too many toxins in our environment. So what we would do is, how can we eliminate some of them in the external environment so that we reduce the impact on the body to start with? And then how can we assist the body to pull out the rest that might have been stored there for a period of time? So detoxification is number 2. Number 3 is your microbiome. Now, pets have the microbiome in their gut, right, which is what we talked about a minute ago. That is working to assist with your digestion, assimilation and absorption of food. So it's one thing to eat great food, but if it's going straight through and out the other end because there's no real digestion happening, no real absorption of those nutrients, then it's expensive food going down a chute. So we want to make sure that the gut microbiome is working properly to extract every piece of goodness from that and deliver it across the body where it needs it. So we need to support them with prebiotics, probiotics, with fiber, with things that are going to make sure that that species diversity down there is incredibly rich and species appropriate for your dog or for your cat. There's also the oral microbiome, and this is really a neglected area. We think of medicine and then we think of dentistry, and then we separate them. But the teeth are part of the mouth. The teeth are the gateway. The mouth is the gateway into the rest of the body, and it's an open source, if you like your skin is closed. Things have a hard time getting in. It's very easy to get things in the mouth, right? We breathe in a cold or a flu bug or something like that. So the oral microbiome has the ability to protect. It acts almost like a standing army at the gates of the castle, if you like, that doesn't let the bad stuff in. Or it could be almost like a Trojan horse where every bit of bad that possibly could be is there lurking and getting into the rest of you and undermining health. So looking after the microbiome here as well as in the gut is critically important. Number 4 is movement, exercise, and alignment. So alignment means your structural, how is your body being positioned in space? Is it balanced correctly? Are you skewed? Do you have pinching? Do you have lack of flow and movement? Because the body must be allowed to move properly for these systems to run. Exercise is obviously, we're familiar with that. That's actually moving your body deliberately against some kind of a force. So that might be gravity, it might be running up a hill, it might be in the water where you've got resistance. Whatever that is, that's exercise. So we tailor programs for cats and dogs according to their species type, their age, and all those kinds of things. And then movement is how we activate the lymphatic system of the body. So we have 2 circulatory systems. We've got the blood system, which is pumped by the heart. So we don't have to worry about that. That's doing its job without us being actively involved with it. Our lymphatic system doesn't have a pump. It must also flow like a river. And we see sick people, sick animals have very low flow. They've got stagnation in that area. Disease has a chance to build up and get trapped in the body. When there's really good flow, then that is part of the detox pathway and those things are being eliminated. So when we move our body, when our animals are able to just stretch, roll over, move around, just reach up for something, do some training exercises, for example, you're encouraging all of that flow as well as for other good reasons as well. So those will all work together in terms of like body physicality. Then we have natural environments, and this is a really, really big one that gets forgotten a lot. Like I said before, humans are the only animals that that cook their food. We're also the only ones that live inside most of the time. And when we invite a pet into our home, we give them that same level of comfort of living inside all the time, but we separate them from nature, which is what has been keeping them healthy and safe for time immemorial, right? So access to the wind for information, access to the sunlight for setting the circadian rhythm, access to grounding, standing on the ground and pulling out those positively charged ions in the body, which will then help the blood to pump better. Every single behavior and opportunity that a pet has to engage with nature has a healing effect on them. And when we separate them from it, they're now being denied that. It's like standing in front of the medicine cabinet. So if that, your puppy might be sitting at the window here, looking outside and going, I could get healthy if I went outside. I could get healthy if I spent more time out here, if I went to the beach, if I climbed up a hill, if I swam in the sea, if I could eat this bark or eat some charcoal that I found by a fire, or if I could dig in the sand. They know, and they're wanting to go out there. but we keep them safe in here. And they're like, I can't access my medicine. I can't access what's going to make me healthy. I can't access what's going to give me this positive dopamine hit of exploration and feel good. And we all know that when we go for a walk in the woods or go to the beach or climb a mountain, how do we feel? Like the stress drops off and we feel invigorated. We breathe the air differently. It's the same for our animals. So natural environments is really key. Sleep and hormones is really big. Sleep kind of comes in with that because sleep is governed by hormones, but really this is hormones. We're looking after the sex hormones by looking at how do we spay or neuter. We're looking at sleep hormones. Are they in the right rhythm according to their species? Because they're not diurnal species the way we are. We wake up with the sun and we go to sleep with the sun. We are active in the daytime. Dogs and cats work to a different rhythm. So are we making sure that their body clocks are aligned properly for their health as well as for the way they interact with our families? So hormones will govern that. Hormones will also govern your appetite, how much or little you want to eat, where your insulin levels are. Diabetes in pets is rife. It is going through the roof. Overweight pets, 2/3 of pets now are overweight. And something like 90% of pet parents cannot anymore tell the difference between a pet of normal weight and a pet of overweight. What they see is this all the time. This has become the new normal. An overweight pet is what looks normal and healthy. They see a regular sized pet, a proper, correct body weight pet, and they think it's malnourished. They think it's too skinny. We need to change that and understand what a healthy pet body looks like and help bring their weight down so that we're now controlling that insulin properly. So hormones is a really big deal. And then finally, the last pillar is mental health. Mental health and joy, happiness, engagement, experienced life. And this is where I spent the first half of my career working with animal mental health in captivity with the zoo animals to make sure that they had what they needed to be rewarded, to be engaged with life, to not suffer from boredom, to have trust-based relationships with the people around them. And so all of this comes into that final pillar, as does training, socialization, desensitization, so how to prevent our animals from having fears and phobias that then hold them back and make life unbearable. And all of that is packaged together in mental health, and it's with really that mindset of the other ones are really a lot looking after the body. Don't forget the mind as well. So there's an overview of those 7 areas. You're already going to play with them, exercise them, feed them, water them, do all of those things. But now you can go from an average, standard, regular way of doing it, which results in an average age of 10.5. Or you can go up to the gold standard in each one of these areas and say, hey, the better option would be this. Now we're looking at doubling their lifespan.
Okay, so good. Let me get unmuted.
All right, I'm going to try to hold my phone back from my computer. Hopefully it's not too bad. Is this not just so good? And it's so fun that you're talking about microbiome and gut. We just talked about that last week on Doing Life Together for us humans, but you're saying also it's so important for our fur babies. And I think when you and I chatted, you gave me a little tip that I loved, and it was to put a little chlorella in your puppy's raw food, and that they do need not only, they're mostly carnivore, but a little bit of veggies. So I had chlorella pills anyway, and so I've been taking them in her raw food that we were feeding her. But are there certain veggies, and I'm going to ask because I'm a dog mama, but I know there's lots of cat parents here too, and is there certain veggies we should be considering using?
Yeah, so the rule of thumb is basically dogs can have about 10% of their daily diet as the vegetable component, the fruit and vegetables. We want to have more vegetables than fruit just to keep that sugar level down. Cats only want about 3% carbohydrate, and they'll actually get that as their probiotics, or get that because cats will eat in the wild, cats will eat the entire prey. Typically speaking, they hunt something smaller than themselves. And so the carbohydrate that they're getting is actually the grasses and seeds that are in the stomach and the gut of the mouse or the rabbit that they've just eaten. So we don't really need to think so much about fruit and veg for the cat. There are some finer details that we could go into if someone really wants to do that, but let's go back to the dog. So about 10% of their bowl will be this plant-based section. And then within that, colorful vegetables, colorful fruits. The more you can give them the rainbow. And if you were to give them red on Monday, orange on Tuesday, yellow on Wednesday, do you see, and do the 7 rainbow colors over the 7 days of the week, then you are going to be giving them incredible life force, because the polyphenols in the colors of our fruit and veg is the longevity or the anti-aging component of the plant. So it's giving them amazing access to structured water, because all of our fresh plants and vegetables have structured water in them instead of bulk water. Remember I said a minute ago how interesting water is? Well, that's one reason why. So you're going to give them that. That's hugely beneficial. You're going to give them the colors and all of the antioxidants and anti-aging things, but you're also giving the nutrients and the vitamins and the minerals. So the list goes on why that's such an important thing. So really pretty much anything that you have, you can give to your dog. There are some exceptions. We do not do any grapes. We don't do any dried grapes, no raisins, sultanas, currants, any of those things. Grapes, negative, no. No onions, no spring onions, no things like that. And definitely no chocolate, which is not a vegetable, just in case you were wondering. But avoid as well, let me just add that, avoid as well any stalks and leaves. Stalks and leaves have different compounds in them than the actual vegetable or fruit itself. So when I say stalks and leaves, I'm thinking, think of an avocado flesh inside would be really good to give in small doses, right? But you don't want to give the stalk. We don't want to give the seed of a peach, but we can give some peach. So just, it's the common sense things. But really, all of those colors on a rotational basis to make sure they get a little bit gives them phenomenal nutrients and energy. And the spirulina, chlorella, and moringa. Moringa is a type of tree that you can have the leaf powdered to. These are absolute powerhouse superfoods that provide amino acids, which are the building blocks in protein. So you don't typically think that there'd be huge amounts of incredible protein that an animal can access in a plant, but they can. So spirulina is really good for those things. Chlorella, these also act as detox agents. So you're getting a 2-for-1 kind of effect going on. So it's a really positive thing on that side as well. And so you can add some of these little supplements and toppers, sprinkles, little treats on top of their standard bowl that will elevate that bowl from already being fantastic because it's raw species appropriate food to something off the charts, because we're now really hacking into their biology to help them grow younger with time rather than older with time.
All right, I'm managing the mute button here. So hopefully, I don't know how the sound is at all y'all's end, but isn't this so incredible? I love seeing your feedback and sharing how much you love Penny. Someone was saying, yeah, I just heard Penny recently on the Pause podcast. So good. Isn't she just a gem? All right, I love it. I also just loved, like, you all know we have a little ranch here in Texas. High Texas Manor. It's really little. It's only about 26.5 acres. But we have chickens and geese and some African antelope and all of that. Well, Miss Maple likes to go around and eat poop. And it's like, oh my goodness. It's just, and so, Penny, what did you tell me when you were talking about pets knowing their inner gut and exactly what they need? If they're eating grass, they probably need to puke. But you kind of put me at ease a little bit on the whole, the fact that she kind of goes over and helps herself to poop from time to time.
It's really easy to get scared about this because, again, it's one of those things that we bring our human brain to and we say eating poop is really a bad thing, because for us it really would be. Eating chicken would be a really bad thing for me to do. Giving it to your pets is a really smart thing to do. Okay, so there's a difference here. So when it comes to pets eating poop, if they're eating the poop of a herbivore, so if they're eating the poop of an animal that eats grass, so horses, cows, sheeps, how about just sheep, rabbits, things like that, this kind of poop it can act as a medicine for the animals when their microbiome in their own body is deficient in that diversity of species. So it becomes a very therapeutic thing for them to ingest to rectify an imbalance in their body. And they will do that when they need to do that. And it's a sign for you as the pet parent when you're on the walk to say, oh, perhaps I need to support their gut microbiome a little bit better because they're needing to find the answer to that themselves. And that would be the answer for them. if you happen to live in an area where poop is lying around, right? When they start eating their own or another dog or a carnivore, this is more of a behavioral problem, and we need to look into what might be driving that, because those are much less healthy because of the meat that's been put through the system as opposed to the grass that's gone through. So it will help boost their vitality, boost their immune system, boost their ability to digest and get the nutrients they need, allow them to build those neurotransmitters that they need for brain function. And so there are fecal microbiome transplant therapies that you can do if your dog is incredibly deficient. So you can test first to see, is their microbiome like a monoculture, just really one species in there? And so it's not really functioning particularly well, or is it this beautiful sort of rainforest of hundreds of different species? So you can take a test to see that. Animal Biome does one, you pop it in the post, you send it back to, they'll tell you. They've done this with so many dogs that the data is phenomenal. Then if you find that your dog or cat is deficient in what should be there, you can use a fecal transplant process to replenish that. And that's effectively what our dogs are doing all by themselves without our involvement when they go and eat poop. So allow them to do it if it is that herbivore species that they're going for, but just clock that yourself and think, maybe it's time I stepped up how I nurture their gut microbiome, because they're needing to solve the problem by themselves.
Mm-hmm. That is so good. So probiotics, last week we talked on Doing Life Together about probiotics and prebiotics and all the things for us as humans. Would our human prebiotics, or do we need to go to the pet store? I just know that so many prebiotics and especially probiotics, they don't even make it where they're supposed to go because they're not really that great of quality. So do we give them the really good quality human ones? What would be your thoughts on that?
So the species that are in a dog or cat are going to be different from what are in a human. Not completely, but there's going to be some variety because they are eating a different type of food from us. We're an omnivore. So we eat much more of the plant things, much more diversity within that, and get more nutrients from that. So our biome will be different to accommodate that kind of a diet. A carnivore diet will have species there that are really good at pulling out each individual amino acid, for example, or some of the things that are found in animal proteins. So you can use a human probiotic in many cases for an animal. It just won't be the optimal one. And you do need to make sure, as you would for yourself, and you just pointed out, that it's actually going to survive the gut process, the stomach acid on the way down. Dogs and cats have stronger stomach acid than us. Their pH there is lower. It's more extreme. And that's one of the reasons why they stay safe from eating raw meat, because the acid there is going to kill the pathogens that might be present in the raw meat. Our stomach acid is weaker. It can kill some, but not all. So we may end up getting sick. But the acid means it's going to kill the good bacteria from a probiotic as well as the bad bacteria that we don't want to get sick with. So dog and cat specific probiotics and good caliber ones that have been properly tested will actually survive that process and make it to the gut where they can start functioning. The other way of doing it is actually a fecal transplant instead of orally in a capsule, actually from the tail in that way. And so it's bypassing the stomach and going in from the tail where it can immediately colonize without being. So that's a very sophisticated, it's very easy to do. You don't need anesthetic. You need to see a specialist. You need to be talking to a vet about that. Please don't do this at home. However, this is not a difficult procedure, and the benefits that come in terms of health and transformation can be literally off the chart. Not just physically, but behaviorally, again, because of that gut-brain axis. So a lot of dogs that have very serious anxiety, phobias, mental health issues can be cured almost overnight. I said the word cured a bit loosely, but can have that transformation literally within a 24, 48-hour process from one of those fecal transplants the other way. So it's a really powerful modality that almost nobody knows about because it sounds a bit gross to us. Would you really want to be? No, we don't. But again, we're a human. We bring different things to the table than what our dogs and cats actually need biologically.
Well, okay, so I see we got a little bit of a late start due to technology, but we are past the amount. We usually do about 25 minutes on the Doing Life Together podcast. So, Penny, I am sure they are all going to want to know where they can find you, how they can follow you. Everyone who is a fur baby parent, obviously, you see Penny is excellent at teaching and making it simple. So, Penny, where can they find you, follow you, keep up with you, and learn more about how to extend their fur babies' lives?
Yeah, thank you. I mean, I love to meet with people in person, so that's always an option. You can go to my website, drzoolittle.co, and you can meet with me in person. There's a link there. There's also a quiz on there. So that's drzoolittle.co/quiz. This is a longevity quiz or a lifespan quiz that you can take for your pet to see how are you tracking so far across those 7 pillars. Are you addressing each one of them? Are you at the base level doing the standard of care, or are you up here doing the gold standard of care? So you can answer those questions. It's really fun. There's lots of cute pictures, and you get a report at the end that says this is how you're tracking and where you can maybe make some tweaks and changes. So that's free. That's on my website. You can take that as many times as you like for each individual pet that you might have. And then thirdly, I think we can put the link into the show notes here. But if you like the kind of concept of knowing a little bit more about these 7 pillars, then I'm running a workshop for people who have particularly younger animals, but I also do these workshops for older animals as well. So if you're looking at a new pet, if you've got a pet that is in the first 2 years of their life, then pop your name down on the wait list for that, because then that's an opportunity for you to learn a little bit more about each one of these things and how you can do it at home. It's about equipping you to become a confident health advocate. So instead of just relying on the conventional wisdom that's out there or drowning in how much information is there when you start looking, you think, oh my goodness, I don't even know where to begin. This is a really simple program that just is a workshop, and I teach you, this is pillar 1, these are the important steps, this is how you do it. This is pillar 2, and we set you up so that you can fly forward with your pet.
Awesome. Okay, sorry, I was entering in the chat those links, and I will swing back.
I will swing back to Instagram to get those links there as well. But that is so fun. Okay, well, we all, I think, gleaned something. And you know what I just love so much is that you were sharing with me how much healthier you've gotten as a human applying all these same principles. So not only is it for our fur babies, but really it just rings true for all of us. One more thing you did say, and then I'll let you go, Penny, but just to wipe their feet off when they come in, especially from walking in the neighborhood. Like, think about all the pesticides and sprays that are on the cement. And so I thought that was also just a simple little tip. And I'm going to put a plug for Norwex. Y'all know I love Norwex, but their pet mitt, using that silver embedded microfiber to clean their paws is so easy. And you can just dampen it and clean it. But that was another thing I know you mentioned, just to help keep their toxic load down.
Right.
Yeah, so many amazing tips. All right. Well, everyone, give Penny a shout out in the comments. Would love to hear your biggest takeaway. And we are going to wrap for today. So just go and take the quiz, and it is drzoolittle.co/quiz. So that is going to be super fun. And then you can follow her, get on the wait list for the masterclass. And she just has so many great ways of connecting with you to help your fur baby live a fulfilled, super healthy, and much longer life with you. So Penny, thank you. And we'll see you all next week. I'm going to end here on Instagram, and then we'll come back to the rest. Right. Okay, and then I'm over here. So give me just a second here. All right. Thank you, Penny. We'll see you soon. See you all next week. Actually, next week is Christmas holiday, so I'm not sure I'll be popping on. But Penny, it was just truly a joy.